Hello and welcome back. I am Dr. Marcia Whitaker. I am a physician and life coach at Info Bloom Health and Life Coaching and the founder of Women Ready to Move Academy. This is a boot camp where it is called Why Not Me? The 4 steps to recovering and rising after the wheels fall off. In part 1, we talked about that moment the wheels fell off. And the next session, part 2, is going to be talking about why the wheels fall off in life. Okay, there was homework from the prior session, and I want you just to add that into the chat if your chat is enabled, any aha moments. And so as we move to part 2, we're in part 2, and we're talking about why the wheels fall off in life. Okay. And that's a good question, right? Talking about why the wheels fall off. Why the wheels fall off. All right. And so a lot of our wheel fall off moments are struggles, right? They are tragedies. They're things that we just didn't see coming. And there are 2 things that the struggle and tragedy does. One is that it rocks our foundation, right? You get that turbulence. And what it also does, it uncovers the cracks in our lives, in our foundation. It puts a spotlight on those weak places and the places that need attention. And so this session starts with where the cracks are. And because we know that when you have a cracked foundation, whatever you build on top of that is going to be unstable. And so the tragedy, sheds light on where we are and what needs to get addressed. And so if you're ready, I want you to say, I'm ready. I'm ready to find out why the wheels fall off. Okay. So there are 3 places where we get stuck when the wheels fall off. Okay. And these are some of the scenarios that we find ourselves in. Okay. So the three places while we get, this is while we get stuck. Okay. And so here is, we are not prepared. Okay. And I want you to think about it in terms of, we're talking about wheels falling off. It's if you decide to drive somewhere, right, and you don't have a spare tire, you are not prepared, right? It's kind of like not having a flashlight in the storm. Like, you knew a tornado, they've been telling us for days that the hurricane is coming up the coast, and there's going to be a storm. There's going to be a tornado. There's going to be a hurricane, and you don't have a flashlight. You don't have batteries. You don't have any water. You don't have your cans of tuna or whatever it is, right? Or you had the wrong tires, or you didn't fill up your gas tank. And I know you cannot predict some things, right? You can't predict death, right? But you can control what you can control in any situation, right? So the way that you make sure that you don't fall into this category of not being prepared is that you control what you can control. Control what you can control, right? What does that look like? That looks like having some life insurance. It looks like keeping your resume updated. It looks like practicing self-care and health maintenance. It even could look like seeking out a lawyer when things start going left, right? It looks like having a budget and managing your money. Okay, it looks like going to a counselor if you need some assistance. It looks like looking at the red flags that are waving, they're just waving like this and we're just ignoring it. All right. Even in the Bible talks about the parable of the wise and foolish virgins. And some of them did not keep their oil trimmed. They didn't take the oil with them. God expects us to be ready. Okay. He has given us what we need. He wants us to be ready. All right. So the second of why the wheels fall off in the cracks is that we're ignoring the problem. Okay. It's as if you have a flat tire, right? And you continue to ride on the tire. You keep driving and driving and driving. And so when we're ignoring the problem, we are resisting reality. Okay? We're resisting reality. We're sweeping it under the rug. We're pushing down the dead body that we've thrown into the water, okay? But that thing is going to come up. The body's going to come up, okay? When you least expect it, and it's going to look uglier than it did when it went down. It's the same as ignoring that breast lump, afraid of what it could be. It also looks like when you know a reorg is going on in your company and you don't pull that resume out, right? You know there's some stuff happening. So we're talking about controlling what we can control. Or you start seeing money disappearing out of your account, right? Or the money keeps being low month after month. If you continue to ignore it, you're going to have a bigger problem down the road. You're going to find yourself on the side of the road with the wheel off. Okay? So I'm going to put address. Okay? Address the issue. It is not going to feel good. It's not going to feel good, right? But that's when we breathe. Because again, we're holding on to it. We're holding our breath, but breathe. I want you to put that in the chat, or in your notes, put breathe. Okay? Breathe through it. Breathe through the rough spots. Okay? And then the third one is we rely on a short-term fix for a long-term problem. We're relying on a short-term fix for something that's a long-term problem. Okay, so you did pull over, right? You did get roadside assistance. They did come, they put your spare tire on, okay? But then what? So then you're riding on the spare tire for miles and miles and miles. You're at the mall, you at the grocery store, you at the party, the club, you at church, you everywhere but someplace getting the spare fixed. We get happy in the wilderness when that's not our destination, right? We stay in some relationships too long, some jobs too long. Sometimes that means we stay silent too long, muted. Some of us have been hiding from our purpose, hiding from and not doing what God has told us to do, to step out and to launch that thing. Some of us have allowed other people to manage us so we don't have to take responsibility year after year. Don't die in the wilderness. All right. Don't allow the short-term fix for the long-term problem. All right. So we're going to move into how to recover. Okay. So step one was notice. So now we're going to go into step two. Okay. And step two is to evaluate. So this is a step 2 out of 4 for how to recover and to rise. And so we're in the recovery phase. So step 2 is to evaluate. And when I say evaluate, what I mean is to look at what's underneath the primary feeling that you're having. Okay. I heard that I'm going to go back to some of the feelings that we talked about. Some talked about feeling nervous, scared, lonely, anger, discomfort. Okay. So when we look at some of those feelings, those are, I'm going to say a higher, I guess in the primary type reactions or feelings, things that come up first. But there's always something else underneath of that feeling. Okay. So we looked at this one. So if you're feeling scared, right, there's a reason why you're feeling scared. And then there's maybe you feel lonely, maybe you are uncertain. Okay. There was maybe you're feeling stupid for getting to this place in your life. And so as we the exercise today is to start to peel back the layers to get to the bottom of what is going on. Again, with the sweeping of the rug, we may see, okay, I'm angry, but then we don't go any farther. And that's another way that we stay stuck. We stay stuck in our feelings because we're not willing to face what's underneath. Okay. And that's what we're doing today. We're unpacking. We're figuring out how did we get here? And the way that you unpack, you keep asking the question, why? All right. So if you're angry, you ask yourself why. Why am I angry? Okay. Let's go over here. Ask why. And then once you get to the bottom, now we're back to the radical acceptance. Once you get to the bottom, we talked about how accepting what is going to cause you less trauma than asking yourself why or questioning why it is. And there is a timeline, right? There's some time needs to go by for you to sit with it. Okay. Once you sit with it and you process it or you evaluate what's underneath of it, then you're at a better place of letting it go. And we want to stop at the primary feeling. We don't want to feel the pain. We want to stop the process. I'm reminded I went to a winery and actually I have a friend who sells wine. And so what she did is she explained the whole process of a sweet wine versus a non-sweet wine. And I tend to like the sweeter beverages. But what happens is that in the fermentation process, in order to get a sweet wine, they have to stop the fermentation. All right. So the goal for alcohol is to have a higher alcohol content. But for sweet wines, they stop the process. And so the alcohol content is lower. Okay. So it isn't really giving you the whole, I'm not going to say the point of alcohol, but I'll just say that for you to get where I'm going. Okay. So if the higher the alcohol content is, the better, I guess, it has a better kick to it. Okay. But the same way, we want to stop the process because we want it to taste good. We want it to feel good. We want it to be a pleasant experience. But in order to move through it, in order to recover, so we've had this, we're down here, right? In order to, when the wheels fall off, in order to recover and to start to rise, we have to be willing to sit with the feeling. We can't stop the process for it to taste good. Okay? So this is step 2. So we're going to move on to step 3. So again, we're still in the recovery phase, okay? After the wheels fall off, all right? The step 3 is to process. And when we talk about processing the feeling, we're deciding what we are making that feeling mean about us. What are we making it mean? There is something called clean pain versus dirty pain. Okay. And I'm going to use my scenario, my parents dying, right? And the fact is that they died. And that is the clean pain. Okay. It's a whole lot of pain, but we're just for the sake of this conversation, the clean pain is that they died. The dirty pain is what I made that mean. And some of it can be true, but it may not be to the level that that's real. Okay. So when my parents died, I felt lonely. I felt restricted. I felt I felt like I didn't have any place to go. Right. I did have my own house, but there's that place where you can go to someplace else. You have a key and you're able to put your key in that door when no one's home. You can take a nap, you can eat, you can spend the night, you can escape. No one's going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. And that is something that I was missing. And that lonely place made me feel like I had no place to go. Okay. So that's the dirty pain of it. And that then also led to other, me feeling trapped in other areas of my life. Okay. So whatever it is you're going through, what I want you to do is to decide, I want you to write down the clean pain, which is just what happened. Okay. You lost your job. Okay. You got separated. Your family member died. Okay. And then I want you to look at what the dirty pain, what are you making that mean? Sometimes we make it mean we're not worthy. We're not good enough. We did something wrong. We made a mistake, right? It's our fault. Okay. And that's when we start to, we call it going down the rabbit hole, right? We start spinning out of control, and it's hard for us to get ourselves out. All right. So as we come to a close for session 2, your homework tonight is to determine the secondary feelings, to process through whatever feeling you had and what you're making it mean. Okay? Decide what you are making it mean. So as we conclude tonight, this evening, today, I want you to have a great night. I want you to process through these feelings, and I will see you again for session 3. Okay? Take care.